What is up? Welcome to that Josh and Bailey show. As you can see, it is not just Josh and Bailey anymore. It is Josh,
Nice.
Bailey, and our good friend, Zach DeValk, my good friend, and Bailey's good friend, Zach DeValk, also known as, in past videos, Big Red, Gingy, Ziggy to me. Yeah, the mighty Ginger on PlayStation. So, tell us about yourself. What's your name? Where are you from?
Well, as Josh kind of saying, all the different nicknames, but Zach is my name. From Princeton, grew up in this area with the boys here in school together. So I've known these guys for a long time. I'm just excited to be on the pod now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so I met him through football way back. I think I was in maybe 5th or 4th grade. And the one memory I have of that year, that season, your dad was coaching us, and you were center, and someone was playing quarterback. And for some reason, they just felt like they needed to hit you in the balls from behind as you're in your stance. I just remember your dad freaking out. He's like, "What are you doing hitting him in the balls like that?" I'm like, dude, we're 10. Like, what are you doing? But man, that's just kind of what I remembered. And then, we just obviously grew up together through high school, and we were together a lot. So Bailey's a year younger than us. So Mitchell obviously is your age, but DeValk is my age. And so, we were always in the same crew. We've always been pretty tight. We actually work together. So,
Yeah.
But,
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And you have a pretty good story of how you guys kind of met. So,
Yeah, I mean, we met through school, through sports, so they're tighter than Zach and I are, but still, anytime seeing Zach's a good time. The one story I have of Zach, I think, was I want to say my sophomore year, your junior year.
Yeah.
In Spanish, we had a new Spanish teacher that year, and she was a hard ass.
Yeah, she was.
She's one of those people that wanted an introduction when she walked in the room every morning, made it all about herself. But I think you were either sitting next to me or just in front of me, but you put your feet up kind of under where the book holder.
Yep, they had that little rack underneath the seat there, yeah.
And so Zach put his feet up there, and our teacher told him put his feet on the ground, and I think he had a little comment to it, and as soon as he'd made the comment, she kicked him out of class, and for the rest of that try, you guys did not get along.
I think I was in that class for half the time throughout that trimester.
Yeah.
The other half, I was probably an ISS or just kicked out of the room because she did not like me.
No, she was hard on everybody. That was the worst I had finished in a Spanish class. All throughout high school was A's, and then that was the one time I finished with a B-.
Yeah.
And she was terrible.
Yeah.
Hated her.
was she a first year?
I think that was her own. No, she taught at other schools. She was a little bit older.
Yeah.
But she kind of moved around. She what's that rated teacher website?
Oh.
I know.
You
what you're
review
talking
a
about.
teacher.
Yeah.
Well, apparently somebody left a review of her on the website saying that she called a kid a monkey, a black kid a monkey. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So she got fired. I think she got fired for that. But she just
you
kind of
can't-
bounced. She kind of bounced around. I think she only lasted a year in Princeton too.
Even in Princeton, you can't do that. That's some tough stuff. No, so I mean, obviously the reason that we're so close is because we've partied and we've hung out and we've done a lot of stuff throughout the years together. So I get to work with this guy every day, and we have conversations all the time about anything and everything. And recently, you know how every guy will have a 2-week Minecraft kicked?
Oh yeah.
I don't know, maybe it's just us, but we have a Minecraft realm going on right now, and this guy he's like a Mongol. He just comes into our world, takes over this whole mountain, builds his castle straight up. So he's like, I can look over you, I can see everything. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And our friend Morris said he's right next to him. I swear, there's I don't know. The best way to put it is if it was real, it would be maybe 100 yards between them.
Yeah.
right?
Man.
And so
Yeah.
Morissette doesn't like that. Like me and him are both territorial, so it's like I immediately put up a wall of like trees and like everything. So I'm like blocking myself off from this guy. Well, him and Morissette have just been going back and forth. So earlier this week, they were arguing. You guys were arguing about a cobblestone path. It's literally just like maybe a 4x4 block. Like it's like a square. It's not a lot. And they're arguing so hard about it. Morissette's like, no, I don't get it. I don't get why you have to do this. He's like, well, I'm just doing it now because you told me I can't. I was like, yep.
Same with the flowers. He has flowers for his bees, and I was moving the flowers and trimming trees and stuff to make it so he could walk. And he was getting a little upset about that. And he's like, you can't be doing that. That's my land. And I was like, well, I'm just going to do it because you told me not to. So,
yeah, so that's, yeah. It's always a good time with the Volk. I mean, it's, I have fun. I do have fun. And so yeah, that kind of leads me into another story that I've got of you, and I'm gonna give you full context of this, okay?
oh boy.
Okay, so we have the same truck. He sold it to me, thankfully, so that I could drive through winter because I hate driving in the wintertime. And he was getting pulled over one day. And he's been pulled over so many times, and I think he maybe have like what, 1 or 2 tickets.
I think it's like 3 or 4 now. But
Okay.
yeah, around when Morse would make a big deal about it. Yeah, it was like 1 or 2.
He got pulled over 11 times in a row without getting a ticket.
How?
I don't know. I guess I'm good at talking, I guess.
Say you're sweet
No,
talker.
no. The story goes, he said to a cop one time, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was changing a song on my phone."
I remember. I think
Yep.
you told me about that.
Yep.
I was like, "Are you serious?" Another time was you were late for a movie.
Yep. Me and Morse were riding in
I
a
was
Blazer
like-
and told the cop we were going about 45 and a 30 and told the cop we're going to a movie. And he's like, all right, well, I'll just give you a warning this time. You guys go have a good time. I was like, all right.
I get pulled over so many times, and I don't even do anything, and he just gets away
That's
with
such
it.
a lie.
It's,
What? Come on.
It's not about me. It's not about me. Anyway, so he got pulled over, and I'll let you tell it. You keep it. Don't get angry. Don't get fired up.
All right.
No names. No names either.
No, yeah, no names. We don't
All
need
right,
people
all
getting
right.
hunted.
Yeah. So keep in mind the truck, it's a lifted truck, 6-inch lift, 30-inch rims. It's a big truck. Like it's not road legal in Minnesota, really. Bumper's too high, all this good stuff. Going down the road, cop pulls me over, and he's pulled me over in the past. But I do have a conceal and carry and everything like that. So he pulls me over. First thing he asks is if I have it on me. Obviously, I'm telling him, yeah, I have it on me. Windows are tinted, but the windows are rolled down. So he's like, you got your license and stuff like that. So I go grab my license out of my pocket, and I turn around, and he's on my passenger side. Turn around and go look, and he's rolling my windows up, scanning my tint. So then at that point, I was already fired up, like, don't be reaching my truck, stuff like that. So fired up. Ultimately, it came down to he pulled away after I was asking for his supervisor's card. He didn't give it to me, nothing like that. And ultimately, he drove off. I followed him for a little bit, and then I got pulled over by a city cop. And they didn't give me a ticket or nothing. Yeah. Didn't give me a ticket or nothing, but he's like, yeah, it's probably not the best idea to be following a state trooper. And at the time, I didn't really care, but yeah, that's definitely not a smart move to do.
The only reason I remember this is because we saw that cop yesterday, and he's like, he's like, yeah, I'm pulling in, the trooper, he said, I'm pulling right past the police station, he's following me. And he said he pulled you over, and he got out, and he's like, Zach DeValk, what are you doing? I was like, yeah, that's something else.
Yep.
So yeah, Zach is he's very loyal to obviously his friends. He's very loyal to basic rights, and which is obviously, I mean, we're gonna get into the meat of it now, but if for those of you who don't know, Zach is he's very, very dedicated to America. He's one of a kind guy.
Patriot.
He's a patriot. Yep. His dad and his brother both served. His brother's actually serving right now. You've got uncles I think have served too.
Mm-hmm.
So on Twitter, if you follow him at Zach DeValk 75,
Yep.
Huge Twitter following right now. He's growing. He's blown up in the last summer. Obviously, with the election going on, we want to get your takes on some of this stuff, and just kind of go through that list. It's only 22 days away.
22.
22 days away, so it's a huge. It's obviously everybody knows what's going on in America. It's a huge election. We just want to make sure that we see both sides of it, and a lot of times we don't. And Zach's, he's one of the guys who's going to speak up for the little guy, and so to start it off, I guess, what are your current thoughts on the race right now?
I think it's a lot farther away than what people are saying.
Okay.
I don't think it's as close. I think it's more one-sided. I think when Kamala first started, I think it was really close. I think she might have been leading at that time. But now that policies have started coming out and she really hasn't rolled out a whole lot per se in like the different debates and stuff, I think a lot of people have noticed that and kind of swayed towards Trump. But I guess we'll really find out come the election day.
Yeah, and I mean, the big topics of that debate were immigration, abortion, the war in Ukraine, the economy, all of that. So just to start off, let's go from the top down. Immigration right now, it's at an all-time high. I think we can all agree it's at an all-time high. I think it was somewhat 15 million illegal immigrants are in the country right now.
Oh no, it's what's the term now? Undocumented citizens.
Yeah, undocumented citizens.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we gotta be politically
PC.
correct.
We gotta be PC.
Yeah.
That's on me. So so the undocumented citizens, obviously they're here. They're I personally, I don't necessarily. I don't know. It's a. I'm in a rock and a hard place because it's kind of like every situation you have laws in place to make sure that there's a process to get into America, and then you also have people who kind of take advantage of that, and I feel like that's where the blurry line is right now. But you know more about it than I do, so I just want to get your takes real quick on obviously immigration, where it's at, and then what are you hearing from both candidates?
So I've actually got some numbers written down here. I'll kind of go over.
My boy came prepared.
Yes.
Came prepared.
And these numbers here are from CBS. So there's been 1.3 million illegals that have been arrested in the first 9 months of the 2024 fiscal year. That's crazy. That's almost record-breaking numbers. Like, that's insane that we have that many people coming across the border at that pace. Just in, which month? It was October of 2023, so the beginning of the fiscal year of 2024, there was just about 190,000 alone that were crossing, that were uncaptured or anything, just from
Just
what they're
coming
counting.
into it, yeah. Oh, geez.
Not even arrested, not nothing, not documented, anything like that. They just know from numbers wise that they're coming over here. So that's pretty alarming, I think. And then I have a kind of a before and after. So when Trump was in office, I have, and that, like I said, that one was from CBS. This one is from the Washington Post. In 2017, Trump had 300,000 illegal crossings. 18, there was 400,000. 2019, there was 800,000. And then 2020, there was 400,000. Between Biden-Harris right now in 2021, there was 1.1 million in 2021. 2022, there was 2.2. That's an all-time high ever recorded. And then 2023, there was 2 million flat. Haven't got the numbers for 2024 yet, but that's all numbers that the Washington Post has put out so far. So
I guess that's obviously a big explosion, but my problem with the whole Trump immigration and the Kamala immigration is there has to be an easier way to get into America. Like, point blank, there has to be an easier way, right? The countries that these people are coming from are, gang run, cartel run. They're super impoverished. And you'll see people from all over the world come through the Mexican border. So it's like, what would you rather see as far as more accessibility for people to get in legally rather than going to these risks? Or at least, what would you do to try to defer that?
I think a big portion of it is just keep going through the steps. Like, we have steps in place right now to make sure that people that are coming over are either on parole. Like, I was looking at numbers earlier. I didn't write them down or nothing, but I was looking and people coming across that are on parole. And the numbers are pretty high, even on parole. Like, we're still accepting people from other countries, even on parole, and there was close to 400,000, 500,000 just recently within the past couple of years, a year. And even when Trump was in office, it was still around those numbers, I want to say. So it's promising to know that we're still allowing them to have a second chance because you don't know what they're coming from. But I think a big portion of it is just being able to follow the laws, being able to take advantage of when you have the opportunity to come over here and following the law and not coming over illegally. Because if you come over illegally, I mean, it's only a matter of time before you get sent back.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big push right now with even both candidates. I think Harris is starting to turn that way. Not as hard as Trump. That's one of Trump's big ones that he's pushing on.
Yeah.
But
it's been a huge talking point for Trump since even before 2016 when like Obama was still in office. You'd seen a lot of like Trump tweets talking about immigration. I think another issue within the immigration realm being the like the money aspect that's going towards people coming in. Him and I have touched on kind of the economy in the United States right now, especially over the past 4 years. You know, COVID happening, shutting down a lot. The economy never really bounced back. You see it a little bit better now, 4 years or like 3 years removed from COVID. But
whatever.
What are your takes on these people coming over? They have absolutely nothing. You know, they're not coming over here to just work. They're not coming over here, you know, whatever it is. But getting help from the United States government where the economy for us, for, you know, just your everyday average Joe, it's been hard. Like our adult lives have not been made easy early on. And so I just want to get like your take on kind of where the money's going versus where it should be going.
Yeah.
the money aspect, I think a lot of it is getting sent overseas. I think that's a big factor. And when you're sending money over to Ukraine and Iran, just a bunch of different countries over there that shouldn't be, and even Lebanon, that shouldn't be receiving the money. Like that's, if you're in NATO, that's one thing. That's NATO's problem. But with Ukraine, for example, what's the money going to? Like they say they go to all this different stuff. We've given them so much money. I don't know the exact dollar amount right now. I didn't write it down.
Oh, it's high. Yeah, I hear about hear about once a week.
That's ridiculous. Like there was a article that came out from a whistleblower saying which politicians are receiving which amounts, and it's crazy. It's like what are we doing right now? Like even to think about our tax dollars going over there when tax shouldn't even necessarily be a thing. Almost tax was there in place put for the war to fund the wars.
Yeah. Since
the wars, like world wars, we kept tax around, and now we're just getting taxed like crazy. And where's the funds going? Overseas. It's.
Have you seen a huge issue right now, and it has been even during like Obama's presidency, but I would say a lot since Trump's first run against Hillary. Like you don't see a lot of bipartisan work right now, and I've seen like multiple bills that have came out that could be like totally separate from like the Ukrainian war, that kind of stuff. But Republican representatives coming out and saying that, you know, the Democratic side has been trying to slip certain things through the cracks of these bills to send money when the bill itself has nothing to do with the wars.
Correct.
So I wanted, like, I've seen it. You know, obviously you're gonna have one side saying it's true, the other side saying that's false. I want to know, like, how much of that have you seen and how much of that have you like read into?
Yeah.
One that I know just from reading and knowing about is the bill for the southern border. Like there was a bill to secure the southern border and get more funds down there. There was money added into the bill to ship off to Ukraine. That was a big part of it, and it was supposed to be a bipartisan bill. Both sides were agreed to it already, and Trump stepped in and he's like, no, we're not signing this. And then the Republicans backed off because there was funding to Ukraine. And the Republicans are trying to stop as much funding to Ukraine as necessary because that's not our war.
No.
It's unfortunate to say, but that's not necessarily the U.S. We're not here to be the world police. And we have a lot of issues at home that we need to take care of before we're taking care of other countries.
Yeah. So another war that started a little over a year, or I shouldn't say started. It's been happening for, I believe, centuries, but just kind of picked back up a little over a year ago that the U.S. is also kind of involved with in terms of the money aspect is the Israel and Gaza.
Yeah.
So now I'd seen that we'd sent Lebanon, I believe, $100 million,
I
something
haven't
on
seen
that.
anything on that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've really kind of. fallen
But
off
then
on
also
that.
you have the United States claiming to backing Israel, that coming from Trump, Harris, even Obama stepped in and said some things about that. But obviously when you're sending money to an opposing side, we kind of touched on it, like the war itself, like we have nothing to do with. We really don't have like too much of a say in it.
Yeah.
But when you have, you're sending money to one side, but then you're saying you're backing the other side. Like, where is that coming from? Is it just like just to look good because that's an election year? What really is the play for the Harris Walz and Biden Harris kind of look?
I think that's what a lot of it is, to make it look good. Because no matter what, no matter which side comes out, you're on both sides. So you look like the victor no matter what in that situation.
Right.
And I actually pulled up the amount. It was 157 million that we sent to Lebanon just recently.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a big factor of it, is make it look good to the voters on both sides. Because no matter which side comes out victorious, you're a winner no matter what.
Does that hurt, like, Harris in her campaign, where, like, obviously her still being a part of the Biden presidency, her being VP, when they're saying, like, we're backing Israel, the U.S. has always backed Israel, but then you send that money over to Lebanon after, I think, Lebanon got bombed by Israel.
They got shelled like a week and a half ago or something.
So does that hurt when, like, people like us catch on to that and we see it, where it's like, well, you're saying one thing, you're doing another? Like, how impactful do you think that'll be come election time?
Ooh.
I think it's more impactful to the people that see it.
Right.
Because typical, your day-to-day politicians do it all the time.
Oh, yeah.
They say one thing and do another thing.
Of
It
course.
happens all the time on these different bills that get passed. I don't think it'll affect her as much as it should. Because ultimately what it's going to happen is, no matter which side comes out, if Israel comes out on top, they're going to be like, oh, we backed Israel 100%, this is why you should vote. Or if Lebanon comes up on top, they're going to be like, well, we gave them 157 million, this is why you should
And
vote
that's
for
as
us.
of right now.
Yeah, correct.
So,
Correct. I think the bigger factor that's going to hurt her the most is her being the border czar. And a lot of people don't say she is. Then one of the day one things is she was elected border czar to take care of the border.
yeah, that's on video.
Yes. And the first time she was down there was just recently after J.D. Vance was there. And just came out today that the National Border Patrol Council ended up endorsing Trump like 2 hours ago before I
Oh,
got
okay.
here. So,
I heard that they talked about it, and Trump worked a lot with the Border Patrol when he was in office.
yeah.
Things that he can't do, like right now, being a
The
citizen,
former president.
being a former president, laws put in place where he can't have contact with certain people. But I mean, he's still,
He's an
clans for
influential
it.
person, yeah.
Yeah, very influential towards that.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate right now. So one thing Trump really talks about is the tariffs on China, tariffs on all these older companies. China, we love doing that. One thing that's come up, at least that I've seen, I got it from my sister this week, is that tariffs don't necessarily affect the countries that are put against it. It affects the taxpayers that come, obviously, election time, everything like that. It comes from us, essentially. The tariffs, we pay more on the back end just because we're paying more for imports. We're paying more to get things in here. How do you think that kind of sways between the Harris and the Trump?
So a big part of that is if China, so let's say China can make it for $3, we can make it for $6. We're taking it at $6. Like, we're making them pay the extra $3, so that way our goods are the same price as their goods, besides their goods being cheaper. So it comes out the same price. Ultimately, it does kind of hurt the normal USA citizens when they go to purchase it, but it also brings more money into the economy whenever those goods do come. So ultimately, it's not the best thing, but it brings a lot more money into our economy. So that does help out when it comes to prices of goods down the line, just not right away. So you're not seeing stuff at a little bit cheaper cost. You're seeing a little bit higher, but you're also getting it a little bit cheaper down the line too. So
Right. Do you pay attention to the PVD podcast at all?
I do not.
So, do you know who the guys are from PVD? Okay, I'll have to show you after. But very right wing guys. I I think the guy's name is Patrick. Big following, huge following. He's had like The Rock was just on. He's had some like pretty big names on his show. But the best way to describe that was right like 2-3 weeks ago talking about the China tariffs with Trump, and they were talking about Apple. So Apple, big product out of China, is
China.
They were talking about the price differential where if we were to make the product here versus outsourcing from, these other countries, mostly China, is I think they were saying like a new iPhone when it comes out is around like $1,200-$1,300. That if we were to produce it here, we would have to sell it at an upmarked price at like close to double. So there's a lot of companies now that have, like American companies that have thought about outsourcing. I believe the one big one was John Deere going to a different country. I think going down to Mexico, if I remember right.
Yep.
Making the products cheaper there, sending them here. So when Trump's talking about these tariffs and making other countries, pay the difference, what in the long run, like at what point, like how many years down the line is that going to help us? Because at first it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Like the American consumer, it's going to hurt. The economy's probably not going to look the best in terms of, I wouldn't say like needed products is like, you don't need an iPhone. You can go out and get a different phone. But for the first few years, it's going to hurt the consumer. But how much is it going to help in the long run?
So from my outlook on it is what I see is when we're paying a little bit higher for a product to get brought in here, they're able to drop our taxes down because they're bringing in a little bit more money into the economy, so then we're not having to pay it in tax time.
Okay.
Because we're paying it more
That's
up front than rather having to pay it in the back end.
Correct.
It's like
And
a
I think-
backloaded contract,
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah. And that's what I think Trump's trying to look into, starting to do. Because ultimately, like I was saying, we shouldn't have tax. Like, tax shouldn't be a thing. So if we can find a different way to get the taxes paid without actually having taxes, ultimately it's going to save a lot of people different money. Because if you go, let's say we go buy a vehicle from a dealership.
Taxed.
We get taxed right there. Let's say you go to sell it. That person gets taxed. Like these vehicles and anything you buy, you can get taxed on like 5-6 different times, depending on how many times the vehicle gets sold. So starting to get rid of that and lowering that is going to help the citizens. Sure, you're paying a little bit more in groceries and your everydays, but you're also not getting taxed on your everyday paychecks. So
Right.
they're able to cut that down a little bit.
Okay.
No, I think that's obviously a big point that the Democrats and the Republicans fight over is taxes. I've noticed that too, where it's like Republicans are thinking, or right wing's more thinking long term, whereas Democratic and left is thinking more short term, because you'll see things where it's like you'll get the 50,000 tax break, you'll get the loan forgiveness, you'll get all these things right now, but then as you're saying, it comes in the long run, and there's a good in both sides of it. You can definitely see the good in both sides of it, because like if I'm a first time home buyer, like we all are trying to be at some point in the near future, I'm definitely going to want to take advantage of a $50,000 break.
Right.
But in 10-20 years, when my kids or my grandkids are starting to pay for that, that's where you're going to see that pinch point again. So it's like, I could pay $10 for something that I normally would pay $6 for, but 20 years now, that will probably still be $10 to $12, whereas it could jump to being from $6 to $20. So a lot of topics obviously that the candidates talk about. I think personally for me, what turns me off the most about American politics is just the constant need to bash the opponent, like the constant need to just drag someone else down. And you can't go anywhere, you can't talk about any politics without either bashing someone or someone getting offended, whatever. And I think that is a society. I think that's something that we would need to change. So I know off camera we talked about the social rights, but I'm gonna pivot a little bit. What as a society would we need to do to kind of get more bipartisan, get more compromising leaders in office, or at least as a people, how do we get to that point?
Bring back boring politicians. And I've said this in like for how kind of like corny it is.
Yeah.
But like if you think back, like when we were younger, really the first like big like breakthrough we saw was Obama being the first African American president. But like before that, like you still remember being a kid and like you remember certain things, even like when election time came around. Like you didn't have anything like exciting, anything really to fight over. I think also social media plays a huge part in that.
Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, I think like just bringing back just boring people.
Yeah.
It's like we hate to say it, where it's like, oh yeah, these like 70-something-year-old guys
Yeah.
kind of take like having power over like we're in our 20s. But at the same time, it's like when you have these fiery people, you have Trump, obviously a very very big character.
Personality. Yep.
Huge.
Yeah.
There you go.
That was good. And then you had Hillary coming out.
The emails. That's what
emails.
they bashed her with.
Yes,
Yeah.
but trying to become the
boy.
first female president. Now you have Kamala trying to become that. So you have these huge personalities. You see them everywhere. You see the bashing. You don't see like I saw a video of like the old debates, how like they complimented each other. and
Exactly.
They're very
Cordial.
right cordial. I mean, they were even supportive over the other person. But I do think that's kind of an issue, is like having these big personalities that like are so fiery and like they're able to get other people fired up, which when it comes to like certain issues is a good thing.
But it feels
But
salesy.
right. But like the social aspect of it, that's such a hard play, because like once I'll be like, well, if you vote for this person, you're voting for this, and so it's like we kind of sit here as your everyday average Joes. We're like, well, that's not what
it is.
right.
Yeah.
So as much as they want to make it out, I mean, they need the votes, but at the same time, it's like you have to kind of get back to just boring people.
I remember when we used to never talk about politics. Like nobody ever talked about it.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, you didn't even tell like it wasn't even a topic that got brought up. Like
No.
even around election time, like I remember my grandparents, like even from us, because like we were too young to vote. Like,
yeah.
we didn't know.
It's
it
like,
was,
why are we not voting for Obama? He's black. Where
Right.
It's like,
But it was very
this is
quiet.
why, yeah.
Yeah, it's very quiet because you
Yeah.
didn't want like you had your best friends and like we've all dealt with it.
Yeah.
Where it's like you say that you support this person, all of a sudden it's that just you're bashing the other person. I think even you and I have gone back and forth on
Yeah.
it. When we were younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I mean you never heard about it.
No.
I think a big portion of kind of going back to boring politics, I think a lot of it had to do with they're getting their hands in the bills as well.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it they're getting kickouts, so no matter what, I mean, they're making money on the side. You can't tell me these politicians are making $100,000 a year, but they're millionaires.
Yeah.
Like that. There's a reason they're millionaires. They're getting.
Yeah. Well,
Little
I
bit
think
of
we
payouts.
touched on.
It's the lobbyists.
Yeah.
And they're getting paid.
I think we touched on the like insider trading.
Yeah.
Is such a
Yeah.
huge issue that we've seen.
Ugh.
Yeah, I mean,
Come on.
I think even when we were like younger, like you always heard that like politicians are crooked, and
Yeah.
you still, I mean, you're always going to see it. But even the boring guys,
I guess it's
But-
more their crookedness is getting blasted a little bit more.
yeah, yes,
Right?
and it's like there's facts behind it,
Yeah.
and that it. Good thing about social media is that like there's video evidence, there's all that gets sent out to hundreds of thousands of people within 10 seconds.
Good and bad, I'd say.
Yeah.
I'd say. Switching gears a little bit. I wrote this down because me and you, like I said, me and him work together. So we talk a lot of different things. Yeah, it's coming. So we fight a lot as friends. We don't fight, we're obviously like very, very close. So we disagree on some things. One of those things is conspiracies. Zach, give me some of your favorite conspiracies.
Couple. Well, my number one. My number one is definitely the moon landing.
Oh my gosh.
Definitely fake.
Okay, wait. We got like a tally tracker. Okay.
Okay.
One fake.
I haven't seen I've not really looked into like that conspiracy, so I'll say it's real just because I haven't
Okay,
seen enough
okay.
of it.
I say it's real.
Okay.
Present
I
your
got-
arguments.
You're good. I got people offing themselves after
Yes.
something very suspicious happens, aka Jeffrey Epstein.
Yep.
I don't think these famous people are just offing themselves or drowning themselves or taking a lot of pills.
Yeah, all of a
Crashing
sudden.
planes.
Yeah, crashing planes. I think they know more than what they know, so I think that's one of my big ones.
Yeah, we have a guard change and it takes 2 minutes, but
Yeah.
somehow somebody bites it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, there's that one. That one I'll lean with you a little bit more. But like
I like that one,
You
yeah.
watch the CIA movies, like we watch these spy movies. You know, you see it. You see it on the screens. Why? How is it not possible to be real?
Right.
They're watching.
I got a third one here. I do think the government took out JFK as well because he was too good to the people.
Oh, I like that answer.
Yeah.
I
Especially
like
it being
that
like an
answer.
older,
Yeah.
like what was that, 60s, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, in the 60s.
63.
So, yeah, I like that because that's, I mean, bringing stuff to light that like you would have never
Yeah.
seen.
Well,
especially-
Area 51.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah, and I think coming into that, kind of going off topic a little bit, I think that's another reason why RFK has such a big following is because his uncle and his dad were taken out by the government. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against RFK just because, you know, he seems pretty neutral from what I can see online. But, yeah, I think definitely the Bobby and the John getting shot up, I feel like that definitely pulls people in. It's enticing. You're like, oh, yeah, this is cool.
We were just talking about this off camera, but like my favorite conspiracy theory, I don't agree with it, but my favorite one to like listen to and like because I've heard a lot about it is the lizard people.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's just like the most interesting conspiracy because it's like that it's so far fetched that it's like it's fun to talk about.
yeah,
But I mean, who knows? You really don't know.
Similar to that, and we've gone back and forth on that. Yeah, I call it cloning. We've decided it's more or less duplicating, where you have these celebrities, these big name celebrities or politicians, whoever, world leaders, and they go away for maybe a month or so, and then they come back, and then all of a sudden they're blown up again.
yeah.
Who's the rapper that was like in prison and like came out looking totally different?
Ooh, I don't know,
I
but
don't know.
Not Meek. It wasn't Meek. It was somebody else.
I don't know. But
Gucci, was it Gucci? I think it was
Gucci,
Gucci Mane.
yeah,
Yeah,
Gucci.
like Gucci came out like fully
Just
like
jacked, yeah.
Well, his face didn't like look.
well, he got
remotely.
veneers. Yeah, he's like all brand new. And one that we've talked about, Mike Jackson,
Yep.
Tupac,
Yep. I think another big one.
Kanye.
Yeah, I was just about to say Kanye.
Kanye.
That's one that just came out. He said a couple years back, he's like, if I ever disappear, they took me out, and he disappeared for a little while, and now he's back, and the face structure and everything, completely different.
Jeez, I don't know. I'm gonna let y'all take that. Like, I don't. I guess it's one of those things where it's like I don't want it to be true, so I'm gonna pretend it's not true.
Right. It's kind of
Yeah.
turn,
Like-
look away, and be like, yeah, whatever.
Like I ain't seen it. Like it's that little kid meme when he's holding his little juice box and he's just
Oh
like,
yeah. Yeah, I didn't see anything.
oh man. I mean, yeah, we've got a lot on here, so we'll have to circle back at some point in time. But I'm gonna give you a chance to talk a little sports.
I got one thing. Before,
Okay.
Just with the election coming up, I've been waiting for this episode actually to ask you. So, since we've been alive, we've only seen one Republican president in one term win the popular vote, and that was Bush in his second running because he
Yeah.
lost the popular vote in the first one. I want to get your take on why that is in terms of the Democrats usually getting the numbers in terms of just people. And do you think that that's going to change in this upcoming election, or do you still see the Democrats getting the popular vote but seeing Trump get the electoral?
I say how I look at it is look where the cities are. Look which ones are blue. Look which ones are red.
Yeah.
The red ones are going to be your rural towns out in the country.
500
You're-
people.
Rocks and
Yes.
cows and things.
Yes, yeah, as well as rocks and cows. But if you look in the cities where there's a bunch of people carried in one little area, they're typically blue.
Yeah.
Why? It's because they're getting subsidized housing, they're getting handouts, and they're getting a lot of money brought into them. Especially, and there's a lot of homeless population out in those different areas too. So I think there's a lot to be said with how many people are in those areas and why they're in the areas. Because I mean, personally, I'm a country person. I don't really care for the city.
Right.
Some people are different. Some people like the city.
Do you like going down like
I like
once in a
going
while?
to the
I like
city.
going there
I like
once in a
going
while.
there. I love going
I will
there.
never live there though.
I
Right.
could live there.
You would thrive.
I would thrive.
yeah.
But it's not for like that reason. I mean, I'd say I'm probably very neutral on most stuff, like socially and fiscally. But like, yes, I would thrive in a city.
But yeah, I do think that with the bigger cities being blue, there's a reason. There's a lot of money flowing in the bigger cities compared to the country towns. And the
Right.
country towns are people that are like, okay, we want our cut of this money that you guys are getting.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why, well, if you look back to like 50 years, the Democrat Party, they were for the people. Like that's, in my books, I would have been a Democrat 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'd say this to this day. Like with JFK, I would have voted for JFK. Like
Yeah.
that party would have been the party I've been. Recently, like 20 years ago, I think when
Reagan, after
Reagan
Reagan,
Reagan
Clinton
and
was a huge-
Clinton
yeah.
and Bush's around that time frame, I think they switched. And I think the more Democrat Party is now for the establishment, and I think the Republican Party now, I think with like Trump, Vivek, JD, now that RFK is on ours, like
Yeah.
the Republican side too, I think they're a lot for the people.
Yeah.
So
A lot
kind of
less
going off track
government.
a little bit, but
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I think you're onto it. You know, it's fun to see new faces, like even Newsom and even like some of these other Democrats coming up. Like it's fun to see someone younger make a stand because
agree.
that gives us hope. Because I mean, and I think we all agree, like, or at least I've talked to you both at some point with it, where it's like if you're not living with the policies you're coming up with, don't make the policies.
Yeah.
like
Yep.
that's huge for me because it's like. I could literally sign a check, and if it doesn't work in 20 years, I could care less because if I'm dead, I'm dead.
Yep.
You know, so I don't know. I think you're onto something there. But man, I love election season.
Oh,
heck yeah, it's always exciting.
except getting the text messages
I hate it.
every
Yeah.
day.
Stop. Wait, have you cast your vote yet? Have you registered?
Donate
It's like,
$5.
I need your
today.
help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's my $5 gonna do for you? I need that for groceries nowadays.
No.
Right.
It's like get my name or the letters in the mail where it's like your name or current residence. Like wow, I'm so special. But yeah, so Bailey's wearing his Green Bay jersey.
Yes.
Do you have anything to say to him?
That off, he looks like a different shade of green. That should be the Jets green for Roger.
Yeah. Yeah. I need to pick up. I'm actually like right now. I mean, I have like 10, 15 Packers jerseys, and I
Josh Jacobs.
don't have any current Packers jerseys right now. They're
Get 10.
all.
Get love.
No, I'd have to get 10. So we just played, 2 weeks ago?
Yep.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. We talked to Mitchell a little bit about this. Both of their prior two games versus the Packers and the Jets, they jumped out right away. Their offense looks incredible. Something that I don't think even Vikings fans really saw coming. But Sam Darnold looks amazing. That B-Flow defense has been lights out until these last 2 weeks. They jump out ahead and they kind of just
Stall.
yeah, they kind of that prevent defense. The Packers outscoring the Vikings 29-3 in the second half. Not enough to get it done. Still only losing by one score. The Jets and their last possession before Rodgers threw his pick, driving, getting kind of finding a little bit of rhythm. What do you want to see from the Vikings moving forward in terms of like if they are going to jump out? Like, do you want to see them still just going after it? Even if it means running up the score, which we know like it's kind of frowned upon. But when you're kind of giving up opportunities, and luckily enough, they haven't lost a game because of it. But I think at some point, like it could bite them.
I agree. I think they need to, whenever they can, run it up. Don't worry about what the other coaches think. We're here to win games, and we need a Lombardi here.
Yeah.
Like, we are missing out. We've been 0-4.
Yeah.
We need one. Run it up. Let's get some dubs. Let's close out the season. Let's get to the playoffs, and let's win some big games.
I think so. Coming from like a Packer fan side, I mean, you've known me a long time. Like,
Yeah.
been a Packer fan through and through. So there's been points where like, and I watch like when the Vikings are in the playoffs and the Packers aren't. Like, I'll still watch the Vikings games, and there's been a lot of heartbreak. Like even before we were alive, like that '98 season, but especially in these last 20 some odd years. You had the Blair Walsh. You had
Philly.
the destruction in Philly.
Yeah.
Bounty Gate.
But I've
Funny,
like,
yeah.
there's been like certain times where I'm like, damn, like this should not be how it ends. But I talked about this a little bit. Like growing up, a Packer fan in Minnesota, like I got like actual hate, like actual like people like people wanted my head on a stick.
Don't look at me.
He didn't actually give me too much flack. Like we would talk about it, but like I dealt with that. So like it kind of like it goes away because it's like, all right, you guys give me so much shit. I hope your team just sucks.
Yeah.
But are you like full on at this point being 5-0? Like this is a destiny team, or there's still something in the back of your mind like if we reach it, I'm still gonna go into this game like we're gonna lose?
I think every Minnesota Vikings fan is thinking one thing: 2016.
Yep.
5-0, hit the bye, finish 7-9 or 8-8.
8-8.
8-8. Like we
Lost
just
5 in a row.
Yeah, I think a big part of it was Bradford went down though. And then we had a revolving door of different QBs, but Darnold needs to stay up. He got hurt a couple times, went out a couple plays, came back.
AJ's out.
AJ's out. That's a huge thing. We have Chandler. Chandler's good, but he's not Aaron Jones good. Like we were looking at stats between Cook and Jones, and they're very similar.
There's about they're
only thing that Aaron did a little bit better was receiving.
Yep.
That's a big thing. Like Minnesota, when you think, well, they do a lot of checkdowns. Like if JJ's not open, Addison's not open, we're doing checkdowns. Like that's our MO.
Yeah. So you have Hawk coming back, I believe, this week.
Oh yeah, don't
This
get him
week
started
or
on
So-
next week. Man, I was gonna wear the jersey.
So that when it comes to like the check down aspect, having a tight end like Hawkinson who is a game changer, only going to improve that offense. You guys have a third place schedule based off of last year. I was looking at the schedule after you guys beat us. I think there was only 2 games that I looked at as games that you probably shouldn't be favored in, even though you're undefeated. That being the 2 Lions games.
Yeah.
But I think other than that, like you guys have a schedule where like you guys play like the Titans, you guys play a bunch of like 1 and 2 win teams. So like we've talked about it now that like we could possibly see 3 NFC North teams come out into the playoffs.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of who's going to win that division race. Who is one team outside of Detroit and Green Bay that you would not want to meet in the playoffs?
Well, I mean, the obvious one's KC.
Yeah.
And in the Super Bowl wise.
Right. Let's go NFC wise.
NFC wise, one team that looks pretty dang good is Tampa. Like they can be hit or miss, but they just won with 51 points.
Yeah.
They were close and they ran away with it.
That's a good pick.
So
because we've talked about frisky teams.
Yeah, we talked about it on the way home yesterday, and just like there's team like because what I said to him was Detroit I think could beat any team in a wild card away. Green Bay, I think there's teams that you don't want to go to see, and Tampa was one of those teams.
Yeah, I think Tampa can be dangerous. If Baker's dialed in, Baker's him.
And
like
he's cocky too. Once he gets that thing
swag,
going, once he's rolling, I love it. Yeah. It's like a better version of Johnny Football.
Yeah. Yes. Actually, a little less drinking.
Yep.
More priorities straight.
Less problems.
Yeah.
But no, man. I mean, yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, we'll have to get you back and talk more sports and talk more after the election. Obviously, we'll dive more into what's next for America and obviously the State of the Union. I don't know. Yeah, you got anything for him?
No, I think that's it.
That's it. You got anything for us?
I think I'm golden.
Awesome. Yeah, no, follow Zach on Twitter, Zach DeValk75.
Yes, sir.
He's always on there. He's always sending out funny stuff. He loves showing me things off TikTok too. So
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Yeah, man. It's good to have you out. And
Yeah, thank you for coming on. We
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
Yes, sir. Awesome. That's all I've got for now. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Basically Harrison. Yeah. I'm just waiting for Brooks to get back.
It's a little tight.
Yeah.
That definitely needs to be the clip.
I was gonna say you're gonna have to make bloopers of that.
Shut up.